Okay, so let's talk about the first assignment first. Some students got an extension, so I will set up a separate area for the students with extensions to submit their work in. And I hope they'll submit it in that separate area, but if they submit it in the normal area by mistake, then I'll need to turn off the automatic release of the grades. And we need to find another way of me telling you the grades. So this is just in case the students with an extension submit in the wrong bit. But basically the grades will normally, the grades for your report will normally be automatically released. But of course, if there's students with an extension submit in the same area, I've got to turn it off because they wouldn't have a grade by the time. They probably wouldn't even have submitted by the time I finished marking. So just to let you know, you'll get your grades on time, unless I get hit by a bus or something like that. But I hope the students with extensions will submit to the other area. Otherwise, I got to somehow turn the release of the grades off and need to tell you in class or something like that. And goes to the feedback with you individually instead of it being released to the group. But just as a forewarning and as a plea to the students with extensions to please submit in the area I will set up for them. Okay. So enough about the report and extensions. Let's talk about the system we've been working on. We set up this page, installed the sample content. That's why we've got lots of articles here, we've got lots of menus. And I think last time we decided that this is some sort of volunteering website. Who came up with the idea? What volunteering was it about? Was it just generally like? So do we have a shop? I'm asking because if we have a because I want to see how we're gonna set up the site next. We don't have a shop there because maybe we might have a shop where we sell donated goods or charity or things like that. Okay, good to know. Okay, today I want to talk about basically, and this will be important for the second question I'm going to ask you in the Bible. Today I want to talk about user groups and access and controlling access, and how to manage basically permissions in the back end. So this is the front end. Tell me, how do I get to the back end? Okay, this is my tab with my front end. I want to log on to the back end of this page, website. How do I do that? What's the address?
Is it /admin?
Yeah, administrator, very good. Okay, I'll just copy it. Because I'm lazy, I want to type it all out again. I paste it. Administrator, here we are. Okay, and I'm just gonna log in. Okay, so here we are. A bit slow. Okay, here's my front end. Here's my back end. Did you all get to install Akiba? Oh, good. And another nice thing about Joomla is it's super easy to update. So when we installed it, the latest version was 3.9.2. In just the recent days, there must have been a new version, 3.9.3. And now the system tells me, oops, there's an update available. And all I need to do to update the system is actually one update now. And if you remember, the versioning system Joomla switched to now means the first one is basically the big version, version 3. The next one is the subversion, with version 9, and the last digit is kind of little security fixes, little mini updates. Okay, let me try to update. I hope it works well. So I click on update now. And then again it says, yeah, make sure the installed extensions are available for the new Joomla version. Well, I don't have many extensions. The only extension I installed was Akiba. We strongly advise to make a backup. Yeah, normally I would make a backup now. I just don't want you to wait another minute for the backup to finish. Yeah. So install the update. Let's hope it all goes well. And you can see here, yeah, we send something off. It's doing something. Updating your Joomla files. Yeah, and if you remember, we talked about the code can run on the server, the code can run off the client. In this case, we've got a bit of code running on both ends. We've got code running on the server, which is doing the update, and we've got code running on the client, which is basically asking the code running on the server every now and then how the progress is, so that it can display this information to us. Okay. Usually quite a good idea to update the system if there's an update available. But of course I understand if you think I don't want to mess up the piece of work, I want to submit for the assignment, then it's fine, you don't need to update it. But if you ever do a Joomla system in the real world, please update it. Because it could be that they found out that there's a little programming mistake that makes it a bit easier than it should be for hackers to get in. You don't want that to happen, obviously, especially if it's not a real, especially if it's a real website for a real company. So 100%. Let's hope it still works. Your site has been updated. Yeah, yay, and it still all works. Good. And there's an extension update as well. I'll leave that now, otherwise, you know, you just watch me installing updates instead of us doing new stuff. Okay, Preston volunteering. Let's think about what do we do. Let's just write down what our volunteering organization does, so that we can create a more suitable website for them. So what do? Last time did we say we go shopping for elderly people? No, we didn't say that? Must have mentioned it. I thought we did. So what do we do? We said it. You did say it. You did say it. So we, for example, the elderly can't go to the supermarket, but they need a loaf, right? So yeah, we go shopping for OAPs. What else do we do? It's just an example we picked last week. We could have picked another example. What do? See, that this is the kind of problem you'll face when you think of the website you want to do for your second assignment. We need to find some content for our website that makes sense. Shopping for elderly people example is quite good, because it means I could create a router in the backend. Yeah? I could create a router which volunteer is going shopping for which person on which day, and because it's not any of the business of the normal visitors of the web page, I can set it up so that only volunteers who log on see the router. Yeah? Because if Mr. X or Mrs. Y or whatever visit the web page, it's none of their business who's doing the shopping for which OLT on what week. Yeah? but we can do it so that our volunteers can log on, and they then see the those are. What else do we do except shopping for our APs? I could come up with examples. My next example would be we go to care homes and we play music for them. But I kind of want you to take some ownership of the site. Otherwise, it's just me telling you an example, and in the end of the day, you'll think, strange example, why did we do this? So the point here is that we come up with a real-life situation. You tell me what you think makes sense, and we'll then together try to match this real-life situation to our system. If you work for a company, and I might have told you, I had a few people I saw in the past. I normally go to the graduation ceremony, and then I had it a few times in the past that somebody would come to me and say, "Oh, I'm so happy at your module. I got a job now in a company, and they don't have anyone else who knows about CMS. So actually, I'm kind of half a day a week. I'm now managing the CMS for my employer." So I think there is a possibility you're going to do this after you graduate. And because most companies do have a CMS, most employers in the UK are SMEs. Much more than 90% of employers are SMEs. They would want to employ their own team of people for their CMS. So you might end up doing this, and this is about matching a real situation to our system. So give me some examples. What do we do in the meeting, just so that I have a better understanding, so that they are not lonely, something like that? Yeah. So we call it. Yes, is it like afternoon tea for OAPs, something like that? Yeah. Okay. Good idea. Okay, another example, just so we have a third one, and then we can try to set it up. What else do we do? Best and volunteering, what do we do? Somebody else? Julian already came up with the overall theme and with an example. So somebody else, please, for another example. What do we do? What could we do to make life for old people easy, for elderly people easier? What help could they need? With people who volunteer their time, who want to volunteer their time, what could they do to make life easier for the elderly? Transport. So you mean they say we want to go to XYZ and we bring them there? Okay, yeah. Let's do that. Good idea. Okay. So these are the three things we do at the moment. Now think about you as a visitor who comes to the web page. What kind of thing would you want to see? And I think that expects on who you are. So let's think about what kind of people visit our web page. I can think of two big groups of people that might visit our web page, plus a third one. So give me an example. Are you marketing? Is it called persona or something in marketing or something like that? Can you explain, because most of us are not marketing people, I only know it a little bit. Can you explain what a persona is?
Persona is a profile of a particular person that you feel that would be a target audience for your website? Or,
Yeah, okay.
So you'd have lots of, probably do like a question, you know, find out a mass amount of information about a group of people, and then like cycle it down to one person is the mass market.
Yeah.
That's a typical.
Typically, okay, yeah. And you have a few of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, for us non-marketing people, without all the background research or whatever, let's come up with a persona. So I think, you know, one persona could be an elderly person who goes there to look for services. One persona could be a volunteer who goes there to find out how they can volunteer or whatever. So how does it work? Now we say it's Mrs. Smith and she's 82 years old, and now we make up a whole story about her. Is that how it works? Okay. So could you make up a very quick persona? You don't need to go into detail what, you know, whether she buys Warburtons or other brands of toast are available.
Name, age,
Yeah.
their goals.
Oh, goals, that's an interesting idea.
What they like, what they dislike.
So let's come up with a name.
Jane Doe,
Jane Doe, and how old?
28.
28, she's a volunteer, okay. So what are her goals? So she has too much, no, she doesn't have too much. She wants to contribute to society and wants to help all people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably develop her CV as well.
Okay, so what, let's say, what could she do? Shopping for OAPs, afternoon tea for OAPs, or minibus service? Which one do you think she would be? Or maybe she doesn't know what she wants to do. She just wants to find out what kind of things are available. So what do we need to do to accommodate her? She wants to volunteer. She heard, oh, there's this volunteering thing. And, you know, I like to make society a bit nicer. I want to spend 2-3 hours on a weekend. What can I do to help? So she goes to the website. What does she want to see?
Think about likes and dislikes, and then you can try and work out how to get it through to them.
Ah, okay. It's more complicated. So we need to figure out how we crack her. Well, let's keep it simple. Without her likes and dislikes. But you know, she wants to find out how she can contribute to our endeavor. So what do we need to provide? Anyone? What do we need to provide? Yeah? Information about the things we offer. Yeah? So how should we run the whole thing? Should we talk about the different areas? Then we could have a menu. I mean, at the moment, these are the only 3 things we do. So how do we do it? Should we do shopping for OAPs as a big menu here? Because it's a very small site. Afternoon tea and minibus. And talk about the services. We could do that.
Or like June is said, offers we provide, and then it says beginner, upgrade, professional.
Yeah.
Those offers.
Yeah. But do we run it that way? Or do we do it like we target the users of the service, the elderly, and we target the volunteers? Yeah? The alternative approach would be we could have a menu for the elderly or whatever, is there a better word? For somebody who's, for service users and for volunteers. So which way should we do it? Should we do it by service or should we do it by user? By user. So, okay, yeah. So we could have a menu here called, where's my mouse? So, okay, so we have a menu called service user information and one called volunteer information. Is that okay? Okay. So I want to create a menu, or I should say I want to create a menu item if I want to use the correct Joomla language. So I go to the back end. Yeah, I want it here. Where do you think I should click to create a menu item? Quick reminder, it's usually all here in the top. Mainly directing the question to students who were here last week, because I showed you last week. If you weren't here last week, you might have a difficult time guessing. I want to create a menu. Where should I click? Content? So close. Look, there's a menu called menus. Would have been this one. Okay. Okay, let's talk about Joomla terminology first. In Joomla, a menu is a whole area with lots of menu items. So, there's a menu here with different menu items. There's a menu here with different menu items. Let me scroll down. There's a menu here with different menu items. So, with different templates, the templates decide on the look of a web page, and depending on which template you use, you'll have different areas at your disposal, and you can basically click things into these areas. And depending on the template, those different areas will have different names. Whoever created the template decided on the name. So they might have called this top, or menu bar, or we don't know what they called it, but we can usually find out somehow. So, we've got different menus here. Look, there's one called About Joomla. That's this one. And there's one called Main Menu. There's one called Top. So at the moment I'm not sure, is this one Main Menu, is this one Top? There are also other things that are here because I installed the sample data. There's something called Flu Shop, Australian Parks, and so on. There might be menus that are in the system, but they haven't been assigned to any of the positions of my template. So I can hold information in the system, but if I don't assign it to any of the positions, it doesn't become visible. Okay. So this one has home sample sites in Joomla. So my guess is this is either main menu or top. Which one should I try? Anyone? There's no wrong answer, I'm just looking into them. I just want to make it a bit more interactive. Pick one. Main menu. Okay, let's pick main menu. Oi, am I locked out? It could be that, we are connected through uClan to the internet. It could be that somehow my IP address changed. Because uClan, something changed with the servers or something restarted somewhere. So the system didn't know anymore whether it's really me, so it asked me to log on. It normally doesn't happen, but in this case, maybe our IP address changed or something. So home, sitemap, site administrator. So this is not the one I'm looking at. No. And you can see here, a menu can have a menu item can have sub-items, indicated here by those hyphens first. Okay, let's try the other one. Let's try top. Here, that looks like the one I want to use. So I've got home, sample sites in Joomla. And yeah, we've got lots of buttons here. So we could unpublish something. Let's say there's a menu that links to sample sites. Now, if I don't want it, I could unpublish it. If I unpublish it, it's still in the system. I can reactivate it later. If I'm sure I'll never want to use it again, I can trash it. It's gonna go into the bin, and I think I can take it out of the bin again, or I can empty the bin at some stage. I can make it the home, so we automatically go there. So there are all sorts of things I can do. Here are also options. Let's click on the options. Yeah. And here are all sorts of permissions where I can basically check who can see this menu. Yeah, I'll talk about this later, but this can be quite useful. Yeah, for example, shopping for OAPs. I could create a menu that's the voter, who's doing shopping for whom, and I can then basically say this menu item should only be available to certain users. Yeah. I'll show you now. Okay, so we want a new menu item. We said we do it by user, yeah? So should I write for information for service users? A bit long. Can you think of a shorter way? Information for
service user forward.
Oh yeah, that's good. I like that. The main problem is it's quite modern language, so I'm not sure whether our users will actually understand it. But let's go with this. This is good. Yeah. So here I can say which menu it should be in. Yeah, and earlier we determined that the menu we want to use is called top. Basically, yeah, we can make it a sub item for another menu item. And here, this is where we decide who has access. Yeah. So later I could create a group called volunteers, and then I could say access is only for volunteers. Yeah. Or if our service users are supposed to see it as well, I could say volunteers can see this router, service users can see this router, but other people who just visit the page without being either volunteer or service user, they can't see it.
Also, log in first to see it.
Yeah, yeah. But this is only if you've got information you want to hide. I think usually, if I think about all the previous years, I think the only time students needed to do something like that was students who did, let's say that there was a student who made a web page for the restaurant they were working at. Forgot what it's called, Solar or something in Winkley Square? Is there something called Solar? Or something similarly named? And yeah, so and she created a web page, and then basically staff could log in and see the router when their shifts are. But usually, I think most students pick a kind of CMS where this is not necessary. Okay, now I need to decide what does my menu item actually do. And usually we want something like this. We want either to link to a specific article, or we want to link to all articles in a specific category, or we've got category block, category lists. Category block basically shows all articles in a specific category one after the other in a block form. Category list, we basically get all the names of all the articles and we can click on it. Yeah. So problem is I'm trapped in some sort of cul-de-sac now, because I can't really create this menu item, because I don't really have articles yet. We created some last time, but where do I link to? I can't create this article without I can't create this menu item without saying what it's supposed to do. So what do we need to do? We need to create an article first. Okay. So portal for service users. What do we want to show there? When people click on it, what should they see?
Information on the services that we provide.
Okay. I'm gonna cancel this. And I'm pretend I'll write an article for one of the services, from the service user point of view. So let's say how to get shopping support. Well, anyway, I don't fix it now because we'll run into another problem now. So I'm just gonna leave it. The problem I run into now is I want to save this article, but I've got to assign a category. And again, there is play music in care homes. Yeah, we created it last week. That was before we thought of our new approach. So I don't have a suitable category, so I can't create an article either. And you already see there are certain things I want to do, but I can't do them because I've got to do things the Joomla way. Yeah, I can't create a menu without linking the menu to something. I can't create an article without assigning it to a category. And I could assign it to a wrong category, and then I need to remember to fix it later. So the first step always is to create categories. Let's have a look at the categories we got. And there's lots of stuff here, yeah, because I installed the sample data. Why don't I get rid of all of this? Click, trash. I might get some error message down the line, because now I even deleted uncategorized. Okay. So I want a category for where all the articles go for our service users. Now this category is just an internal thing. At the moment at least. We could build it so that this category isn't actually visible to users. It's only a way of grouping my articles together. What could I call this category? Are we all clear what a category is? So it's just a container to group my articles together. There's another CMS called Drupal. And Drupal, anybody here using Gmail? Yeah. In Gmail, who knows about Gmail? Who does not know about Gmail? Google Mail? Okay, so I assume you all know a bit about Google Mail. So if you've got a file on your hard disk, you can put it into a folder. But the file on your hard disk will only be in one folder at a time. If you've got emails in Gmail, you don't have folders, or in Outlook you've got folders if you talk about email systems, but in Gmail you put labels on. So let's say you bought, let's say your hobby is, I don't know, cars, and you bought a car on eBay. Yeah, you could put the email where you bought the car on eBay. You could put the eBay label on, and you can put the car label on. Whereas in Outlook, you've got to put it either into the car folder or into the eBay folder, not in both. So Drupal is quite good. There's another CMS. Used to be used by the White House until Trump moved in. And also was used for gov.uk in the past. So in Drupal you can assign labels to an article. But here in Joomla we've got categories, so an article has to be in a specific category. So what do we call the category for all the articles for our service users? Anything?
I've said enough, Claire.
Huh?
I've said enough.
You said enough, that's
there's a lot
true.
more people in this
That's
platform
true.
than me.
Yeah, yeah. Anyone? There's no wrong answer. You know, you could call it whatever you want. You could call it apple, raspberry, strawberry, doesn't matter. You can call it whatever you want, but if you use a meaningful name, you obviously make your own life easier. So this is the category where all the articles for our service users go. What could we call it? I can see you're not keen on interactive lectures. Come on, anyone?
Just say that what we offer.
What we offer? You mean that's the name of the category?
Yeah, if you're talking about the different
Yeah,
services.
what we offer. Good. Okay, an alias is, let's say, for menus and for articles, it's basically what you get in the URL of the page. For categories, it might not be that important. But usually, basically, the system will automatically generate an alias, which is what it will be called in the URL from the title. So you can usually leave this empty. So we want this to be a category of the highest order. I mean, I killed off all other categories anyway, so there can't be any parent category. Yeah. So this is the title. I could write a little description. Yeah. Okay. Let's save it. Yeah, and I now got this category, what we offer. By default, Joomla also comes with a category called uncategorized. So that because every article has to be in a category. You can't have an article that does not belong to a category. So just in case you don't know what category to put it in, you can always put it in uncategorized. Or you could call it general or generic or whatever makes sense. So this is the category where all the articles for our users go in, for our service users. And now I want a category where all the articles for our volunteers go in. What do we call it? Anyone? There's no wrong answer. If you call it raspberry, I'll just type in raspberry, I don't mind. But you might be able to pick a more suitable title. So all the articles for our volunteers will go into this category. What should we call it?
I'll just call it volunteering.
Volunteering, very good. Thank you. Volunteering. Okay. I'll save it and close it. And here we are. So we've got two categories now, which means I can start writing articles. Yay, okay. Help me. Have a guess, where do I go to write an article? System. Okay, we'll do hands up. Who thinks writing articles is under systems? Hands up. Users, hands up. Menus, hands up. Content, hands up. Yay, so you all know actually the right answer. It's just everybody's too shy to say it out loud. Okay. Articles. Let's have a look at all our articles. Discounts. Super financial rules. Oh, we created that last week, didn't we? Maybe we can use that. Okay, new article. So we wanted to make, so what did we want to do? We wanted to create a menu for our service users. And that menu was supposed to list all the different services. So we now need an article for the three things we do. We need an article each for the three things we do written for service users, with service users in mind. So the first thing is shopping for OAPs. So what do we call the article? We do your shopping, we help you with shopping. What should we call it?
Help you with your shopping.
Say again?
Help you with your shopping.
Help you with your shopping. I need to fall back to you because everybody else is too shy. I should introduce brownie points that go into the grade or something like that.
Yeah, I stand up at the front.
Yeah, I can't because it's not in the module information pack. So, sorry. Help you with your shopping. Yeah. Now just some text. So I'm just gonna have 5 paragraphs of placeholder text. Here we are. Okay, here we are. Okay, here's my article. So, which category does it go in? What we offer or volunteering? Very good. That's exactly right. And should everybody be able to see it? Yeah. Okay. And let's say, we branch out and we'll go into Chester and then we'll go into North Wales. Yeah, we might have, like in the future, we might have English version and the Welsh version or something like that. But at the moment, there's only one language for our system. And here we've got our WYSIWYG editor. So I want to make something bold. I can do that. I mean, this is pretty similar to Microsoft Word. Images and links. I could have an introduction image that would be displayed when we just show the introduction of the article. I could have a full article image and so on. Options. So by default there's a layout I want to use for all my articles. And by default there's a setting whether the title will be shown. By default there's a setting whether the author is shown, and so on. So by default I use all the default settings. But if for this article I want to do an exception, I can make an exception. Publishing, this is where I can basically say this article should only be visible from, let's say for example we only start the shopping service 1st of March. Then I can basically say this article should only go live 1st of March. So I can say when does the article go live, when does it automatically get deleted. And here we've got permissions again where we can fine-tune who gets access. Now I talked about Drupal before and that we can put labels on things. The interesting thing here is we have to put an article into a category, but I can also use tags. Very useful. So I can also basically find articles or kind of manage them through tags. So what tags make sense for this article? I could use a tag for service users. And let's do another tag, shopping. Okay, so I use those 2 tags now. And that helps me later, if I want to gain access to this article in a different way. Let's do the tag, for example. If I want to link to this article by using the tags. Okay, I'll save it and I will just create the next article. Help you with your shopping. The next one was afternoon tea for OAPs. So what do we call this article? The one about afternoon tea?
Meet up afternoon tea.
Meet up afternoon tea. Is that how I should write it? Like this?
Meet up for.
Meet up. Like this? Okay. So what category? Tags. Look, now I can see the existing tags. Featured. What does featured do? Basically, if I say this article is featured, then it will automatically end up on the landing page, on the main page where people go. So that it's an easy way for me to basically swap around which articles appear on the main page. I can just feature it. Yeah. And because I featured it, it automatically appears on the front page now. Okay, last one. Minibus service. What should I call the minibus service article? Minibus? Anything else? Service. Oh, yeah. Service. Okay, which category? Yeah. Okay, so we've got the articles now. So let's go back and create a menu. Sorry, I should use the Joomla language. Let's go back and create a menu item. And what's the name of the menu I want to create the menu item in? Top. Okay, what did we want to call it? Now this is the information for our elderly people. I don't want to call it volunteering because then people think this is the menu if you want to volunteer. But this is the menu item with information for service users. We had a name earlier. What was it? For the menu item that links to all the articles for our service users. Was it that? I can't remember now. So how we can help you? I don't know. Okay, so I want to link to all the articles in that specific category. Yeah. So do I want it like a block, one after the other, or do I want a list where I get all the titles and then people click on the one they want? List. Okay. Yeah. Here we are, and now I need to pick a category. So I want to pick what we offer. Okay, let's save and close it. I'll refresh. How we can help you. And now I get a list of all the articles in that category. Yeah, and the layout, we can influence that. I could also make sub-menus pop out here if you prefer that. Then when people go to how we can help you, then we can have sub-menus pop out that link to individual articles. Okay, I didn't get as far as I wanted, but this is still quite useful. I put a task for you on Blackboard, but since we didn't get as far as I wanted, you haven't seen how to do the task yet that I gave you. So maybe instead of doing the task on Blackboard, maybe just try to create categories, articles and menus, and link them all together the right way. Okay, thank you.